bonjour, Maria Dolores Erhling. You are coming from Sweden.
Yes.
And we are very interested by Nordic country, and more specifically by Sweden, because first, those countries are the more innovative country in the world, and also not only innovative in terms of technology, but in terms of society, type of society, evolution of the society. I speak sociologically, and also ecologically. So for the future of mankind, the Nordic countries are kind of model. I'm not sure we can exactly do what you do, because there are history who explain also where you are, but it is countries who are really very interesting. So welcome. Perhaps we could begin by a little story about you. What are your story, and how that rely to the special culture of Sweden?
Thank you, Michel, and thank you so much for having me here. I really, really appreciate it. Well, I started, my background is in human resources and leadership. I've been working with that for about 15 years. And now I'm just about to start up a company together with my business partner, Göran Jansson, and we're talking, want to have a global dialogue of what is really human rights and human obligations, or human rights and human the rights.
Duty or...
Yeah. So in Sweden, and also in all the Nordic countries, we have we're at the peak of democracy in measurements, global measurements of democracy. We're at the peak of different democracies. We have a survey, the global survey of democracy. And it's also the view on both ourselves and with more respect for ourselves, but also respect for others. We have more equality between men and women, and also the sense of morale and wanting to contribute to society.
There are high level of trust in those societies.
A high level, yes.
It is interesting for us who are French, because France is a country who are low in trust. Trust between the civil society, inside the civil society, between a person to other person, but also trust even with the administration. French don't trust their own administration, or politician, or even business. And the big, when I am working and traveling and exploring the Nordic country, I see the big difference. And even in the team, in the company, in any company, you have a very good trust between people. People try to help each other. You know, it is very different as atmosphere and everything. And of course, there are also a strong evolution in terms of relation inside of the private life, because people are more working or creatively define their kind of framework, how they want develop their relation. So all this is very interesting, because it is quite advanced if you compare to the rest of the world. And there we had a lot of sociological study who show again and again this, and that have some efficiency, because, for example, in Denmark, we have the higher level of happiness, which is quite interesting. And I guess in Sweden is not very far, but there are something there which is different. Can you a little explain about the difference actually between those different countries? And we will ask then Patrick about more ethical question. So what is the difference on Sweden and Denmark, for example?
Well, Denmark is more. They're more of a freer spirit, I would say. They have a stronger sense of self, while Sweden tends to be a little bit more collective thinking.
Yes, when I was there, it looks a little more. I was in studying those two cultures. More I discovered it was quite similar, that French and German. Swedish people are more, structure, serious. Yes. They like the process. They are more scientific.
Yes.
And Danish are more artists.
Yes. Yeah. On the other hand,
less precise.
Actually, what we can also see in Sweden is like you said, the culture, and the younger generation is much more creative now. When you go into coffee shops, there are people all over really having their computer and laptop up and talking and sharing and starting startups, startup companies and small. So there's a bubbling inspiration in the younger.
So you think the creativity is stronger now than before in Sweden?
Yes, definitely. It's a large difference just now in 10 years.
Yes, because maybe it is just because of the influence of one country on another. Since young people travel a lot, and they meet different people, so there is a kind of new culture which is growing.
Yeah, I think so, and also, but if you go to Norway, it's not like that at all. So it's just our fellow countrymen who sit on just next to the border. They don't have that creativity on the same say, and I think it's both that we have the. I've been working in the forest industry and steel industry. That's my background, and. So the industry, we have large industries, but it's also an investment in society, I think, and inspiration from other large companies like Spotify is originally a Swede who founded, and so we have inspiration.
More creativity.
In that sense.
Sweden. But what strikes me, what we were talking about before, is the kind of harmony there is in the society. I think there is less tensions in your society than in ours.
Yeah.
Yes, people feel more at ease in the society. Like Michel was saying, in France, I think we are more in conflict, the one with the others. Maybe I think it is also there is a kind of historical explanation, because in France we had a very centralized and authoritarian political regime with the king, for example, Louis XIV. He was the king's son, and he had all the powers, and so the rest of the people had no rights; they had only duties. So I think in reaction with the revolution, we have kept in our culture a kind of mistrust in the society. Because historically we had only to fight against the structure which were imposed by the king. So I think we have still a kind of reflex in our mind to mistrust the political administrative structure, where he had just to take the maximum of money from people for the king.
And I can understand that, and it's the way it is. And that's also why I talk about human rights and human obligations or responsibilities. That if you Google human rights, it's usually freedom of speech. And freedom of speech is one right that we have, but we also need to have to listen. So it's the other side of the coin. Yes, we do have the right to express ourselves, and we need to do that as humans. But we also have, or should have, the obligation to listen and to take in
Yes,
others.
we are going to go ahead in those issues, which is right and obligation. That is a very interesting question, and as a human resource director, it is very interesting to speak with you about those questions, and more specifically in the Nordic country. So thank you very much for this first little segment of broadcasting, and we will go ahead on right and obligation, which is actually the title of your book in the next TV.